Okay, let's talk about this. First, let's give some full context. You were claiming that all of the threats on people's lives, are coming from both sides. Because both sidesism goes over so well on TikTok. You mentioned that some creators were calling for people to unalive Christians, which I personally have never seen. And someone told you that's only a small subset of the population, but there's more terrorist behavior coming out of MAGA and even the Republican Party that aren't MAGA. And you said, prove it. Let's remind ourselves a little bit of all the right-wing extremism that we've had to deal with lately. First of all, it's important to see just how much of the population they make up. A poll done in April, just about 6 months ago, showed that the MAGA movement is incredibly unpopular. Not even a quarter of the population views MAGA positively. 24% is what they got. MAGA, people who identify as part of the MAGA movement, is about 42% of Republicans, which out of the whole population comes to about 17%. The MAGA movement is less than a fifth of the US population. Yet their hate and violent rhetoric have been going on so long that there has been an emergence of an anti-MAGA coalition, made up of people on the entire political spectrum, not just Democrats, but also independents and moderate GOP members who never ever want to see Donald Trump in office again. Because they don't want to turn this country into Nazi Germany. And that is not hyperbole, by the way. Because if you've read anything about Project 2025 put together by Trump and conservative think tanks, if he wins in 2024, they want to turn him into a dictator. They want to completely get rid of all three branches of government and give Donald Trump absolute power. And also giving him the authority to get rid of or replace anyone in the government that he wants from any department anywhere. He would have complete control over the court system, the military. He would not have to obey Congress. Much like in Russia, where they have a parliament, but it's entirely for show. Putin doesn't do what parliament says. And he has absolutely no consequences for that. It's entirely theater. They want to give Donald Trump the ability, if he wins in 2024, for if Congress passes appropriations, he can say no, and he can do whatever he wants with the money that's appropriated. And once again, yes, I did say that, they want to give him complete control over the fucking military. The asshole who, according to his own generals in 2020, attempted to start a war with Iran because he thought it would help get him reelected. He also wants complete control over the FCC, to have state-run media, and everything would be heavily censored. That is a play right out of North Korea's book. This entire plan is fascism on steroids. And what do you think the people that back him, in the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, the militia groups on the right wing, what do you think they will do the second Donald Trump has absolute power in government? Because according to the defendants in the January 6 cases themselves, they said they were waiting to be deputized by Donald Trump, so that they could go in and cause as much violence as they wanted, and they would not be held accountable. Donald Trump's violent rhetoric was going on while he was still in office. This article is only from 2020, and at that time they were already investigating over 54 cases of alleged violence and threats that were invoked directly by Donald Trump, according to people involved. Don't you remember all of his rallies where he said he wished people who were protesting could be taken out on stretchers, and how he said he wanted to punch people in the face? There's actual video of his supporters at those rallies punching people as they were taking them out of the arena. He purposefully stirs up his base to try to make them violent. This is really not hard to understand since it was going on big time in Germany about 100 years ago. The Associated Press did a nice article about all of the right-wing violence going on as the 2024 election looms. Talks about that guy in Utah who was threatening the president and stocking up on ammo and guns. And then when the FBI showed up to his house, it did not end well for him. How about that Trump supporter who, after Trump was searched at Mar-a-Lago, ended up driving to the Cincinnati FBI office and shooting through the windows with a nail gun? It didn't end well for him either. And that was just from Trump being searched at Mar-a-Lago. That was before indictments, that was before charges and court dates, that was from him being searched. People drove up and tried to shoot an FBI office. Meanwhile, what have you seen from people here on the left? Well, people here on the left, every single person here on left-wing TikTok, has said that if anyone, a Democrat, someone on the left, is found guilty of a crime, lock them up. That includes Biden himself as well. We've all said a million times we don't give two shits about Hunter. If he's guilty of something, throw him in jail. We don't care. None of us are on here defending Hunter. And when Bob Menendez was recently indicted for bribery, How many people on the left went out and started attacking FBI offices, stormed federal buildings, issued death threats to the judge? Absolutely fucking zero. Because we don't idolize our politicians. We're not in a fucking cult. This guy is a piece of shit and a criminal. Lock him the fuck up. And he's in my party. Meanwhile, in a recent impeachment inquiry hearing in the House, one of the Democrats literally said in that hearing, "I want to see a show of hands if you think that Hunter Biden and Donald Trump should both face the consequences if they are found guilty in a court of law of a crime." Every single Democrat in that room raised their hand. Not a single Republican would. And not a single Republican voter here on TikTok has said that if Donald Trump is found guilty in a court of law with evidence, that he should go to prison. Because you're in a fucking cult. You don't think that your God King could ever be guilty of anything. Therefore, you can't get that in your head that it's even possible. We say if someone is guilty of a crime, lock them the fuck up. You say, if Trump is found guilty, obviously something is fake and it's all been wrong and everybody's lying. Because you all just believe that Donald Trump is the second coming of Jesus Christ. You don't believe in justice. You just believe in fealty to your fucking cult leader. Far-right violence and domestic terrorism has been on the rise for a while. The Senate was attempting to pass bills on it back in the late 90s. Donald Trump was just able to do something that others before him had not. He was able to harness all of the hate, all of the racism, and all of the bigotry in this country, and use himself as the conduit. He was able to make all those gullible, hateful people idolize him as a god, while getting them to believe any dumb, gullible, hateful shit he spouted. And once he got those far-right militias under his wing, he didn't have anything to worry about, because any violence could be done in his name, and people wouldn't do anything about it. That's the same reason he's getting special treatment in the court system right now. The court system is using kid gloves on him because they don't want his cult to start violence. You know, if an average private citizen is under several indictments for 91 felonies, including endangering our national security, they don't get to walk around freely, spout lies all over Truth Social, and go to public rallies where they're allowed to continuously lie for 3 fucking hours. They get thrown in a cell until their court date. They are specifically going soft on Donald Trump because they know you people, his followers, will do anything he says if it involves violence. For the last 25 years, at least in this country, it has not been left-wing communists who we've had to worry about taking over our country. Despite what Fox News would tell you, and then they'd have to shovel out a few $1 million in defamation. It's not socialists and communists trying to infiltrate our government and turn us into China. No, for the last almost 30 years, it's been the fucking right wing. Those people who directly align themselves with the 1930s funny mustache man. And you're gonna sit here and pretend and gaslight and make up all these bullshit lies that so many people are coming for the Christians, when your side is out there every single fucking day plotting the very next group of people they can unalive in broad daylight. Fuck your disingenuous argument.